Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm Drew Schlussel. With me is Danny Collins. We're with Wasabi, as you should obviously know. And today we're going to talk about video surveillance.
Yes, we are.
But before we get into all the details, a word from our sponsor. Today's presentation brought to you by Wasabi, the world's hottest cloud storage. Wasabi provides simple, predictable, and affordable hot cloud storage for businesses. Thrilled to work with our surveillance customers and partners and help people keep all the video they need. You're it, Danny. You get all the questions today.
Yes, I do.
You're batting first, second, third, cleanup.
Yep.
All right. We're here at beautiful Fenway Park.
We are.
In your backyard.
It is, yeah.
Let's see. These guys are making adjustments, but we'll get going. Physical security. How did Wasabi get into physical security?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, Wasabi is an IT company at its core, right? So it's kind of I guess you wouldn't necessarily associate them in the video surveillance or physical security space. But it's just like with every other industry and vertical out there, there's an increase in the amount of data, right? So traditional storage environments are kind of at its peak. It's kind of facing different burdens, right, with the amount of data that's being created. And video surveillance is, no stranger to that. And so Wasabi, being cloud storage, has a solution to, store any kind of data and video surveillance with different cameras, and a lot of them out there, all of them with different resolutions, frame rates. Video is really kind of the larger of the data size. So that's kind of where Wasabi found its fit. It was, we do a lot of work with the media and entertainment space as well. So it was actually a likely segue, handling video, large video files.
Now, we've been working with surveillance for years. Mm-hmm. And then somebody had the brilliant idea that we should make it easier.
Yep.
Tell me more. What was the idea? What does that look like for folks who want to engage with Wasabi?
Yeah. So traditionally, right, you would have your on-site data center, no cloud or anything involved. But with this transition to the cloud, specifically with cloud storage, previous or kind of older, larger, those hyperscalers that have the older architectures for cloud, it's not really compatible with the video surveillance space because you need, on-demand access to video. It's very dynamic, so you don't know really how much you're going to be pulling back and how much you're going to be accessing. So that leads to very unpredictable storage costs, right? So Wasabi coming in kind of a little bit later in the game, cloud storage, back in 2017, our architecture completely revolutionized the space. And one of those areas that it's actually very compatible with is video surveillance. And through, one of the solutions that we offer, you actually have the ability to access that video through video management systems, just like you normally would through traditional on-prem, on-site data centers, normally how you would access it.
Yep. So do current surveillance companies all support S3 object storage?
So actually, the funny thing is a majority of video management system companies or VMS companies or organizations don't have the ability right now to write directly to S3. There are some that are out there. I think we'll start to see as this transition, keeps going, more and more out there start to build that into their API. But right now, we offer a solution that actually helps bridge that gap. So it actually includes what we call Cloud Bridge software with that object storage backend. Yep. And then that loads onto the same server that the VMS is running on. And then from there, you have that instant accessibility, seamless playback of all your video, where the VMS actually doesn't even know that it's Wasabi in cloud storage on the back end. It just thinks it's another local drive. And that's kind of the beauty of the product.
Love it. Love it. And, obviously helping companies kind of come into the future is a good thing to do. I think we've talked a while about, S3 adoption, and it's a little slow.
Yeah, I would say it's slow, but I think cloud is at least in the physical security space, cloud is a very all-encompassing term. And there's so many different facets of it. I mean, you have direct camera to cloud providers. You have video management systems that are hosted in the cloud. You even have access control now that is cloud-based.
Yep.
I think a portion of that's often overlooked is actually the storage piece of it, right? Because we always say storage isn't sexy, but it's part of it that really drives the entire organization. It's something that's often like very overlooked. And it's really, if you want to scale out your solution, adding more cameras, adding resolutions, different frame rates that look at that, even, analytics are a big piece of it now too. All of that's going to dictate what that storage is on the back end. So it's something that you actually should be thinking about before you look to scale out that solution and make sure you have the right infrastructure in place.
Yep. Start with storage.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Don't get caught short.
Yep.
The nice thing about cloud, obviously, is it's bottomless.
Right.
Right. But we're here in the studio today. I'm looking at $40,000 4K camera.
Yeah.
More expensive. Okay. $100,000 4K camera. Wow. And then there's like the backup one over to the right here. The resolutions keep going up. That's good for us.
Yeah. Well, even think about the stadium as a whole, right? Not even just for public safety, but now you're looking at in the analytics of baseball in general, player stats, all that kind of stuff goes into it. So I think when people see video surveillance, they automatically think public safety, and that obviously is a big portion of it. But then we get into, healthcare with patient monitoring. We get into environmental monitoring, manufacturing, and all those different insights that can come from video. So it's actually, I think a lot of businesses are now using video surveillance in these surveillance cameras as more trying to gain insight and value from this video, more so than the traditional sense of, public safety and trying to find, the guy that broke in and did that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I learned something interesting the other day. So not only do you have law enforcement wearing body cams, you now have healthcare workers wearing body cams, so that their work, their treatment of patients is completely recorded, stored, maintained.
A lot of the there's, not just healthcare, but there's, I also got to think of regulations for 24/7 recording, right? So obviously if you have a camera that's 15 frames per second, 1080p recording at 24/7, that's going to really ramp up your storage. And then if you have a large healthcare facility, just increase the cameras from hundreds to possibly thousands, right? So,
and then I've got to believe, HIPAA comes into play.
Yep, absolutely. Right? Yeah, so that's a big thing too, right? Is now we're talking compliance. So you have regulations like HIPAA for healthcare, even with the growing industry of cannabis. It's a highly, highly regulated market. And there are even specific requirements, not only for resolution and how long you need to keep the video, but also requirements for offsite storage. And if that video is offsite, you need immediate access to it. So if you have someone that comes in and audits, says, show me video, from a couple of weeks ago, and you can't produce that seamlessly, now you're out of compliance and, you lose that business essentially.
Like what's the worst case scenario you've heard of?
I've heard of an organization that was using another cloud provider, right? And they couldn't provide that video instantly. And they lost, all of their product. They lost their license in general. So there goes their business, right? So it's
they went up in smoke.
Yeah. No pun intended.
Hopefully intended. Without a doubt. We've been at a few trade shows this year.
We have.
ISC West.
Yes.
Got to go there with y'all. I think we won an award.
We did win an award at ISC West.
What award did we win
Yes,
at ISC
so
West?
it's a good thing you brought that up. So we at ISC every year, the Security Industry Association, or SIA, they have a award competition of best new product of the year. It's broken down into different categories. One of those being best in video surveillance and data storage.
Yeah.
So that's something that Wasabi applied for with a new product that we released back in January called Wasabi Surveillance Cloud. We had to go early. We presented to a panel of industry judges.
You presented.
I presented to a panel of industry judges, and we gave a demo of the product, and we found out the good news at the end of the show that we had won the award. So it was really validating, not only for myself, but for Wasabi as a company, that we have this product. And it's, we're, like I said before, we're an IT company at its core, but now we have a product that is helping the video surveillance space, and we're getting validation from industry professionals that have been in the space for a very long time. So.
Yeah. So shout out to our product management team,
Absolutely.
Engineering team.
Absolutely.
Everybody Wasabi for pulling that together and bringing that out this year.
Yep. It was being a part of the launch of the product, I have never seen a launch go as smooth as it does. And we all know that things don't go according to plan, and somehow everything went according to plan with this launch. And so it is a real testament to the team and everyone involved.
So let's talk a little bit more about Wasabi Surveillance Cloud.
Yep.
Right. We touched on the fact earlier that we've been supporting surveillance for years, but we now have a product specifically for surveillance.
Yep.
What is it? Why does it matter?
Yeah. So Wasabi Surveillance Cloud, at the very high level, enables video management systems with cloud storage.
Okay.
So it's essentially just adding offsite storage onto your traditional video surveillance environment solution. Going deeper, there are multiple options to actually get that video offsite. So you can do it, or there's a couple of different features. One is storage extension. So you can set it that I want to keep a certain amount of video locally and then move the rest off to the cloud where it remains for my retention period. So for example, we work with a school district that keeps about 10 days of video locally. And they've found that that's a good amount of time where if there's no incidents in that time period, bullying or vandalism or whatever, then they can actually offload it from their primary storage, freeing up that space and that capacity for other items, and then move that into the cloud where they can keep it now for the remainder of their retention period. There's also the ability for more of a cybersecurity and data protection scenario where we have a feature called disaster recovery. So that's where you actually make a one-to-one copy with that enabled of video sitting local and video sitting in the cloud. So for some reason, if someone stole your NVR or
NVR is
a network video recorder,
okay,
and or your server took a baseball bat to it or whatever, right? You still have a copy in the cloud, and you can actually rehydrate a new one, pretty instantly, just depending on how much data you're pulling back. But yeah, so we have those are the two main options, and we can actually do both at the same time. So like that scenario that I mentioned with the school district, if they have disaster recovery enabled, now they're making a copy of that data for the 10 days that it's sitting local. After that, on that 11th day, that video now moves off to the cloud, and now it's sitting there as just in the cloud. But the big thing is they always have that seamless playback. So if they had to produce video from, 30 days ago or something like that, they can have the ability through the video management system to pull that video back and play it, and use it for that purpose.
We work with key partners.
We do, and we couldn't be in the space and helping out with data storage without these partners. Folks like Milestone, Hanwha, Axis. We even have partners for more of an edge storage play with scale computing.
Yep.
So we really lean on our partners because we're just a piece of the puzzle. But we're kind of doing that joint go-to-market to offer a complete solution for organizations looking to store their video.
Any limits on number of cameras, number of on-site systems?
Yeah, so that's really the beauty of it, is there's really no limit. Sky's the limit, actually. You can add as many cameras as you want. You can scale out that solution. I mentioned that we have that storage extension piece. You can also do it instead of local retention time, but by percentage of capacity on your local server. So we've found that a lot of folks that are using a lot of motion based for their cameras. So if, typically it's 50% of their videos captured by motion, but let's say there's an event and now it kicks up, they have the ability to, move that older video off to the cloud once it hits a certain capacity level on that server. And then on days that it's not, it kind of drops back down and they can use that primary storage. So it's very flexible in that sense. But yeah, we have those benefits.
Analytics. We saw some really cool analytics.
We did, yes.
At ISC West.
Yes.
Will Wasabi Surveillance Cloud integrate with those surveillance analytics systems?
Yeah. So since Wasabi is kind of transparent to the VMS, right? And most of those analytics, so you'll have the analytics on the cameras now. So some of them are being done even going to storage.
Oh, wow.
But once, there are some and you're kind of scrubbing through that video because it has that seamless playback ability. You're not waiting, for hours and hours to get that video back. It does work very well in the sense for analytics. And then kind of like I mentioned before with gaining business, insights too with different industries like that. Works very well for.
Yeah, I get nervous walking around the city now.
Yeah, you're always pointing out new cameras to me.
I play hide and go seek everywhere I go, every city I go to. I send you pictures.
Mustache in disguise.
I'm thinking I need to start, covering up a little more.
Off the grid.
So for the folks who are hunting me down for the bounty, I'm one step ahead of you. All right, so we covered a lot.
We did
in a very short amount of time. Let's see, what else do we have to talk about today? What am I missing, Danny? What have we not hit on that we want to make sure we hit on so folks know what we're up to, how we can help them?
I would say the future.
Let's talk about the future.
Let's talk about the future.
Yeah, what's the future look like?
So right now, storage is increasing, right? The storage needs are increasing because data is increasing.
Yes.
Technology is only going to keep getting better. Data is only going to keep increasing. So there needs to be a solution out there for those needs. And we're starting to see, that transition to the cloud. It's still in the early stages, but, organizations are still starting to see that the value of having a copy for offsite storage.
Yep.
And like we mentioned, the compliance. So with video and it being more sensitive, I can see that the compliance regulations only get more strict as we kind of go along.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
So we have a feature in Wasabi Cloud Storage called immutability.
Yes, we do.
Object lock. S3 object lock. Does that work with Surveillance Cloud? So
on the Surveillance Cloud level, the immutability feature works, but it's on the bucket level.
Yep.
So that immutability that you're talking about, for those that don't know, it's, when you designate something immutable, you can't change it or modify it any way. You can't delete maliciously or even accidentally. So it's really kind of that highest standard of data protection. And we offer that for Wasabi Surveillance Cloud. Basically, you would designate a specific bucket immutable, and then you can't make any of those changes, modifications. Essentially, it's watermarked. So we have a lot of law enforcement customers that will use it for evidence purposes, even just regular organizations that are using it for cybersecurity and extra data protection. So we have that ability as well. So at Wasabi, we take security very seriously. Absolutely. Even for the security industry.
Gotta be worried about deep fakes.
Deep fakes?
Yeah. I mean, they sample my voice, take a couple pictures.
Someone might be doing that right now.
I could be a deep fake.
You could.
Right. You're real.
I am.
I could be a deep fake. Sean's just laughing over producers, getting a good giggle. The future. So, yeah, I mean, we've got 4K cameras today. I think 8K is out already. 16K is on the horizon. You know, the amount of data we're going to be collecting, especially in the surveillance space, I think there's no limit to it.
Yeah.
If somebody today is listening,
Mm-hmm.
more than our cousins, right, and is wondering, you know, is this real? Should I trust my data to the cloud, or should I trust my surveillance data to the cloud? What would you tell them?
I would say if there is any solution out there that's the most compatible with video surveillance data right now, it's Wasabi, and it's Wasabi Surveillance Cloud for those that don't have the ability to connect to it. But, you know, if you do have the ability to connect to Wasabi without the need of a bridge, you know, we have that option as well. And I think too, for the
bridge is the piece that translates
correct
file to object.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So that Wasabi Surveillance Cloud product includes the bridge with the object storage, but we also have, you know, our traditional object storage, and that also makes actually a very good solution for the integrator community, because we haven't really talked about OEM that much, right? But we have the ability now for even integrators to kind of use Wasabi's cloud storage as their own. Yep. And have it as another kind of line item that they can go out to their customers with, and sell it that way. And then also we have a product that makes it even more easy for them with all their customers with, it's called Wasabi Account Control Manager, or WACM as we like to call it.
VLAS will be so happy.
Yep. Plug for VLAS. Yeah. And with that tool, now you have that kind of automated billing, looking into your customers, all that management under one interface. So it makes it very, very easy for our channel partners out there to kind of help with their customers.
Channel partners, integrators, powered by Wasabi, or white label it, call it your own.
Yep.
We'll be happy to help you.
Absolutely.
Danny, I think we covered it all.
I think we did.
Excellent. Great job.
Thank you. You as well.
All right. Well,
if it's actually you, we don't really know.
We'll find out later.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll check the immutable Drew.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Danny Collins, Drew Schlussel. Appreciate your time. And I guess we'll see you all next time on the next LinkedIn Live session for Wasabi. Have a great day.